but it's a short-term thing, like maybe a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden you hear him saying, I don't know, I feel like a sense of well-being, I'm sleeping better. Then they tell me about some dreams, and you can tell from dreams that they have after the remedy, then from before the remedy, that they're kind of in the healing mode. And then they'll say, I still have my headaches, but they're less frequent, they're not as intense. And then you keep moving, and then it's like they're still less frequent, and they're not, and then eventually they go. And maybe that's a course of 1 month, and maybe it's 2 years. It really depends how long they've had the pathology and how vital their vital force is, because everybody has a different strength of their vital force, and some people are just born here with a kind of more sensitive, and they can become sick easier, and they have to protect themselves and rest, and no matter what they do, they have to really take care of them. And then there's these ones that are really, you know, sturdy, that they almost seem like they can abuse themselves and stay healthy, but you know, so we all are different, and we're all unique. But that's why I love homeopathy, because you pick a remedy based on that person. And I'm including their physical symptoms, all of their family history, their emotional traumas, their personality. I ask, you know, what do you like to do? If they like to read, what kind of books do you like to read? What's your relationships like with your children? What's your relationship like with your husband or partner? What's your relationship like with your friends? Are you someone that likes to be in company? Do you like to be alone a lot? And then we talk a lot about also their disease. I had a patient last week. I always say at the end, so now do you have any questions for me? Because they've been talking, you know, for 2.5 hours. And she said, how come you didn't ask me very much about my complaint? Like she was coming because she had headaches. And I didn't ask her too much about her headache, maybe 10 minutes. Tell me, what side of the head is it on? Because in homeopathy, it matters. You go to a doctor and they say, oh, you have a migraine? Okay, we can give you this drug, or this drug, right? Okay, you have a cluster headache, or you have this, and then they're done, right? For homeopathy, just to tell me you have a headache means nothing. What does the pain feel like? Where is it? Oh, it's on my left side. Okay, where on your left side does it? Oh, it starts here and it comes over to here. Okay, now we're getting better. You know, what's the pain feel like? Is it shooting? Is it dull? Does it feel better with pressure, holding pressure like that? Does it feel better in the light or in the dark? Does it feel better walking? We need to know all these things as homeopath. But once I was done with those questions with my patient, I needed to know more about her, and she was kind of surprised that that's all I asked her was about her headache, was that 10 minutes. But
why not more?
Yeah, but what's going to help me find a right remedy is now understanding who she is as a person, so I can use her constitution, her personality, to match it to a remedy that has those kind of headaches.
I guess it's also hard for a person going to for certain issue. For example, we stay with headache, and then suddenly comes somebody and goes deep into past and childhood. And so when I go to a psychologist, psychiatrist, or I know they're gonna ask me all those questions, so I'm prepared emotionally. But I'm going to a medical doctor or a chiropractor or a homeopath or a acupuncturist, I would be wondering why they ask me, why do they go so deep? And now I want to get this message also out that yes, this is important because it all relates. So we have to understand there is a relationship, and going back how this natural way of treatment or approach to the body works. The body is always in homeostasis, striving to homeostasis. So all this outside, what you mentioned with the golf field, the chemicals, the air pollution, what we have today, the stress we put ourselves to, running always and never stop. So this all contribute to interfere with this homeostasis. So we are coming along, and then homeopathy the way, contributing chiropractic the other way, and this is like a mosaic pieces of health. They working together. So some person need more of those, some people need more of those, but the key word to all natural approach, persistency and consistent.
Exactly.
So you always maintain it, and then honestly, better you get, less need that to go to the homeopath, to the chiropractor to get adjusted, and just keep maintaining. Some people, I even say, come in a year if nothing happens, because I know them already for 6-7 years, so I know that improved so much. And honestly, I don't want to interfere if the body is functioning perfectly.
Exactly.
Why should I? So that's so beautiful in this. So in homeopathy is this understanding of, yes, also the past is needed, and the person have to be ready for it, to go for it, because sometimes we don't take the time to to look back and then work it. Now I have to function. So would you help for a short period to fix that temporarily and say, when you can put it up and take care of yourself more, then we continue different, or you never would compromise with that?
Well, I think the better way is to just allow whatever the person is speaking, because in homeopathy, sometimes I say, so tell me what brings you here. And they will say, well, I'm coming because, let's say, I have a headache, or I have menopausal symptoms, or I have lupus or MS. I mean, I see all kinds of things. And, you know, today, a lot of people are choosing not to do the traditional approach first. They're wanting alternative medicine. So before, we used to see people after they'd go to their doctors, and then the doctors had given up on them, and then they come to us. Now I'm seeing that they come to us sometimes first, more often, which is great. And but I think what I like to do is I just ask a question, and then they start speaking, and usually it's about their complaint. But then often I'll just say, well, you know, I need to understand who you are as a person, so tell me about yourself. And I used to have this one teacher that said, I'm not going to say one word for 20 minutes. You have to talk for the entire 20 minutes. Wow. And then that person would say, well, I'm tall and I'm happy. And then they go, how much more time do I have? And he'd say, you have 18 more minutes. They go, oh, 18 more minutes. Okay, let's see. Well, I like company, and, you know, so
like music.
Yeah, but it's kind of true. You really want the person to speak, and you don't want to lead them in any direction. So what I try to do is, you know, I may ask a specific open question, like, tell me about yourself, or what's your relationships like, or why did that marriage break up, or just, but often the fewer questions I can ask, probably the better it is, because that means they're speaking. And my teachers have always taught me that whatever a person is speaking of, it's coming from their soul. So it doesn't matter if they're telling me about a baseball game they went to or about some horrible trauma. It's still part of who they are. So it's just me needing to put all the pieces together and kind of feel who this person is. So I think it's kind of good that they come not knowing that they're going to go really deep, because when they walk in the door, I don't know what I'm going to ask them. They don't know what they're going to say. It's all spontaneous, and it's usually the best way, because if they happen to, in 2.5 hours, you can only say so much about your life. It's a long time, but it's a short time really if your life is 50 years, right? Yeah. So in 2.5 hours, if they choose to tell me that day about something that happened when they were 10, then I believe intuitively that meant to happen. That was what needed for me to hear. That's an important part of their story. Why are they telling me about that today and not something else when they were 20, right? So I pay attention to that, and I just add it in a pile. And every time I see them, it's like you add things, and your piles kind of build up, and pretty soon one becomes more clear in what you're going to do if you haven't found the right remedy.